I don't see I think you know what I was about to say. Okay, we are about to go live on Facebook. Oh, can I do it, Nadia? Let's see if I can do it. I think you did it last time. You'll have to let me know. All I see is recording. Oh, here we go. Now it says we're being live streamed. Well, hello. Welcome to day 2 of the Sales Secrets Masterclass. I'm so glad to have you here in the room. And I am Kathy Cross-Reese, your host, your moderator for 5 days. Each day, I'll be sharing a secret. Who likes secrets? Actually, some secrets I don't like. However, I love things that are out in the open. So I'm going to expose these secrets, right? They don't need to be secrets anymore. So yesterday I exposed the first secret, which has to do with mindset. I laid the foundation by explaining just what sales is. Who has kind of a nasty taste in their mouth about sales? Well, I must admit at one time I did, because being sold to or um, talked into doing something was my idea of sales. I used to think of like used car salesmen. So that was my perspective of sales until I got into real estate. And then I learned that selling is basically providing something that someone has already expressed that they want. Then moving ahead during the pandemic, I went into further education and learning through the 100X, through Crush It You. I learned that sales is service. We are providing a service to those who have a desire to receive something that we have expertise in. So my expertise is in sales. I'm a 6-figure kingdom entrepreneur. I've been in this space for over 29 years and specifically had a revelation about sales about 3 years ago. A kingdom revelation, not just a revelation, but a kingdom revelation about sales. So yesterday, that was our foundation. And I asked you to think about a number. If you listen to day 1 again and listen to the recording, you'll hear that I offered an opportunity for you to partner with someone, not myself, although I don't mind partnering with you. And that's something I'll speak about today, about partnership. But I asked you to partner with the Holy Spirit. Whether you're a believer or not, I believe it's always great to have a higher power, someone that you can call on to give you just what you need to move forward. So that was yesterday. Now, today, we're going to dive into the next secret, which falls under the umbrella of contacts. Contacts. Now, in order for us to grow our sales business, we need to have people to communicate with. We need to have contacts. And contacts can be reached in various different ways. But let's talk about just the methods or the types. Let's talk about the types of contacts first. Now, we're in a technology age where most people, the primary method of communication is texting, cell phone, using the cell phone for email. Oh, this says 333. I don't know if you can see that. Interesting. Email, phone call, texting. I don't think people fax anymore, although I have a fax machine. And then some people still like the old-fashioned letter writing mail. So there's various methods of contact. When you think about contact in sales, you want to be able to ask your prospective client, right? Your customer, your prospective client, what's the best method of communication? It's important to ask because you want to serve. And then when you serve, you're going to not just meet the need, you're going to exceed the need. You're going to over deliver. Because if they say, text me, then that is a cue for you to make that your primary mode or your primary method of reaching out to that customer or client. I can tell you many stories about how I failed at using that technique to follow up with prospective clients and customers. I've had people say, "Can you please contact me by email?" That's what I use, email. Well, when I think about my emails, I'm horrified because I have a lot of emails, a lot of emails, and most of them are junk, but there are a lot of nuggets and gold in there. And as I mine through my mountain of emails, I find gold. And in that gold, I follow up and I find out it's too late. Don't miss an opportunity. If you've left tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars because you failed to follow up with the customer or client's primary method of communication, then let this be a clue for you. So in your sales business, that is your optimal choice, or your primary delivery method is to find out how the person wants to be spoken to, how they want to be communicated with. There's a book called The Love Languages. I think it's the 5 love languages. And isn't it interesting that the love languages are just like the 5 methods of contacting people? So I don't think that's accidental. So people want to know, as I said yesterday, people want to work with who they know, like, and trust. So if they know you, like you, and trust you, then that's who they want to work with. And since they want to work with you, you're already in a prime position to serve. And as you serve them with the method of communication that they have asked for. And when I think of service, I think of one of my mentors, Pedro Dale, who says, serve with love. Now, when you think of love, you might think, okay, that's kind of messy. We're not talking about that. We're talking about sales. Well, how about put yourself in the position of the person who you're selling to, or the person that you're providing a service to? What if the shoe were on the other foot and they were coming out asking you for the business? If they just went right for the juggler asking for the business, you could say, hey, we haven't even dated yet, and you're ready to go to bed or whatever. Or we haven't dated and you're ready to get married. So it's the same thing. It's the art of that negotiation dance before you get to the point where you go for the sale. And I know personally, when I feel I'm being sold, I don't like it when I feel I'm being sold, because I'm being pushed, something's being pushed upon me, and I would not want anyone else to feel that way about me. So when I think of sales, like I said, mindset, when I think of sales, I think of that relationship, that know, like, trust relationship. So we have those 5 methods of contact. Now, how do we get these contacts? How do you get the contacts? Because you need to have contacts if you want sales business, if you want to increase your sales. So let's talk about one of the popular methods of getting contacts. You may know this one, but it's prospecting. Okay, prospecting. You hear that. Prospecting hour, people have that in their offices where they prospect. Well, I want to flip that a little bit and tell you you're always prospecting, because you represent yourself, you represent your business wherever you go. So if you happen to be at a grocery store, not that you're saying, hey, I'm in this business, and if you ever want to, that is the wrong method. You listen first and you respond later. So you listen for the need before you fill the need. And what about that casual introduction to meet someone? That's part of the process. You need to actually make that connection with someone. That's what a contact is. So the secret for today is not just contact, but it's connection. That actually sounds and resonates with people. Connection. What happens on social media? People want to be connected. What happens in small groups? People want to be connected. People want to be connected in groups and rooms. We're in a private Facebook group. This is an opportunity to connect. You can reach out to people in this group and make a connection, because what's coming next is where we will get together and go on this sales journey and actually do a 30-day sales challenge. So I'm giving you the components that will build up to that challenge. But unless you understand the mindset and those connections, then you can't get to the conversations and you can't get to the cash. Because ultimately, we want what's at the end, but that's what is called fruit. And the fruit is always last. So let's start with the foundation and build upon that with these connections. Now, I mentioned prospecting, and prospecting, some people choose to do prospecting by calling, cold calling, cold calling. That doesn't work for me, but if it works for you, that's one method of connecting. Another method is speaking to people in a networking opportunity. If you're in social or service clubs, just start having conversations with people. People will lead you to where they want to allow you access to what's going on in their lives. I know personally, if someone goes right to the juggler with me, I'm pretty defensive and I get quiet. So think about how the person is reacting to the conversation. And there are three things that I want you to get when you're either prospecting or networking. There's three things. You might already know what those are, but I'll just repeat it for those of you who may not. There's three things you need to get. First of all, you need to get their name and get their name right. Sometimes pronunciations are a little unique. Whatever notes you need to make to remember that name. When you remember someone's name, they think you care, right? And you want to express care, you want to express concern because you want to remember their name. There are several exercises and books on remembering names, but that's one of the things to obtain when you make those connections, the name. The second thing, and this can be in either order, is a method of contact, whether that's a phone number or whatever method they have, a phone number. So a name, number one, and remember that name, phone number, and you want to find out, really, in today's technology, you want to find out if they have an iPhone or an Android. That could make a difference in the communication that goes back and forth when you're talking about photos, or I think on an iPhone you could send like cloud things. My husband has an Android and I have an iPhone and my girls have an iPhone. So we get into this battle about the droids versus the iPhones. But that's not the point. The point is find out what type of phone they have when you get their phone number. Hey, by the way, what kind of phone do you have? Ask the question. And then the third thing is an email address. You know why you need the email address? Well, let's back it up. You know why you need the phone number? You need the phone number so, of course, you can reach out by phone call if that's their primary method that they want to receive information. And then you want to find out if they would prefer to be text, if they would like you to send text back and forth. So you have number one, the name, making those contacts or those connections with the name, remembering that name, thinking of something that will help you remember their name. And if you can't remember it by the way it's spelled, write something like they wore a blue hat or they wore a pretty blue dress or something like that. Write some little memorable note for yourself so that you can remember it and say it. And when you get the number, test it out. Say, hey, before you leave, and then what you're doing is you're adding that phone number into your contacts. Okay. And then the last one is email. You want to get their email because you may want to start a newsletter or some kind of landing campaign or a sales campaign, an autoresponder, you want to receive that email address because in all of these contacts, you are creating a database. I don't know how many people in business that I know do not have a database. Your database is like blood. If you're thinking about a lifeline, it's the blood. It's what's going to flow from deal to deal, from one transaction to the next transaction and to multiple transactions. So keep a database. And if you don't have a database, let this be your wake up call to get a database. And it could be as simple as writing down those names, phone numbers, and email addresses in an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be elaborate. So we talked about taking those contacts and making those contacts, lost my chain of thought. Making those contacts into connections. That's the word I was looking for, connections. So the key for day 2 is connections. You want to make those connections, right? And you want to have that database. Now we talked about prospecting and we talked about networking. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about conversation. So I don't want to go too far into the networking, but that's where you can make contact and connection with people, getting their name, their phone number, and their email address. Just remember 3. Just like this meeting started at 3:30, there's a reason for that. 3. I want you to always kind of remember that 3. So in each one of these concepts, there'll be layers of 3. Right? So we talked about prospecting, we talked about networking. Now I want to talk to you about pipeline. Many of you know what a pipeline is, and if you don't, a pipeline is your measure in sales where your business continues to flow. You want to have a nice flow of business. If you have an empty pipeline, that means you have no business. If you have one deal that you've been nurturing and taking care of full time, then the opportunity for you to get new business is probably not going to happen. If you're spending all your energy and you're forgetting about the new relationships, the new contacts, the new business, not to say you forget what you have, you manage what you have, you become a good steward of that business. But in order to grow, scale, launch, and have more business, because we're talking about accelerating your sales, you need to be able to manage those and then get new business into your pipeline. Because ultimately, you want to have a steady stream of business. Because real estate can be cyclical, but if you keep your systems in place and moving along, then it will flow. You don't want to stop the pipeline either. When I think of stopped up pipeline, you probably know what I think about, but stopped up pipeline is when you have a lot of deals in the pipeline that are not going to close. They're not going to close, and you know it, but you're busy getting those deals into the pipeline. That doesn't help you, and it doesn't help your client. So let's not do that. Let's not have a stoppage in our pipeline. And then the next piece of context that I want to talk to you about is about leverage. Leverage. So think about context from a leverage standpoint. How can you leverage your existing business to get more? How can you leverage your existing business to get more? Ask. Ask. Who do you know that needs my service? Ask for referrals. And this is key. If you ask someone for a referral and they refer someone to you and you cannot serve them, then the best thing you can do is say, I'm not an expert in that. That's not my expertise, but I know someone who would be perfect and I'm going to refer them to you. Is that okay? Now that's showing that you care about them. It's showing that you're not going to just take the business or run with the business that you have no expertise in. And in real estate, there's a code of conduct, code of ethics concerning that. But let's just say you're in the real estate space and you're getting business and you're getting referrals and you can't handle these referrals. Let's say it's a commercial deal and you say, "Oh, I'd love to have that," but you're not experienced in commercial, or you're not experienced in multifamily, or you're not experienced in uh, industrial space or vacant land, whatever those other areas are. If you're not experienced in something, the best thing to do is to refer them to someone else who has that expertise. And that says volumes about your character, says volumes about your integrity, and it speaks volumes to them that, wow, they didn't just try to do it all on their own. They cared enough about me and what I wanted because they were serving my needs and not self-serving themselves. Makes sense? So when we serve others and we meet their needs. And the needs that we have are basically a byproduct of the service that we provide. There is a Bible saying that says it's more blessed to give than receive. And I believe it's true because when you give and you see the gratitude that comes back, it creates this sense of just, I call it love. It creates this sense of love in the relationship. So that covers connections, which is through contacts, which you can increase your contacts by prospecting, by networking, by increasing your pipeline by referrals, and by leveraging, this is the fourth one, leveraging technology. Now, I'm not going to get into different types of technology, but just know that if you have a contact relationship management software or program, or maybe you're basic and you basically use a spreadsheet, whatever it is you use that to leverage, set up systems so that you can continue to run your business seem like a system, like a professional business. You're running a business because this is a business. Sales is a business. Whether you're selling, it doesn't matter what you're selling. It does not matter what you're selling. If you set up a system, the business can continue to flow, continue to grow, right? And when I think about what I said yesterday, I'm reminded of this connection. When you reach out to people, and let's say you reach out to someone that says, "Get back to me next year." Will you do that? What are you setting in place so that you can follow up with people that ask you to follow up with them? Or do you write it on a note and then you can't find the note? That's why it's important to have systems in place. Have some systems in place to be able to go back and follow up on this business. And you know what that says about you? It shows that you care. You care enough. I happen to have someone on my team that does that for me. They make these calls and they follow up and they say, "Hey, I'm just calling to see how you're doing." And those calls generate new business. In fact, one of those calls just happened this week for me personally. Let me see, is there a message for me? I'm just taking a look in the chat. Okay. So one of those instances happened for me, and I just want to share a short story where my someone on my team is making calls and they set up an appointment for me, and I met with the people. And when we had a conversation, we started talking, they said, "You are the first person that showed that you care about what we're going through in order for us to get to the end result, which will ultimately be the sale of some real estate." But to listen to a person's problem or their situation, their circumstances, whatever you want to call it, when it shows that you're able to listen, they see that you're authentic, you're a real person, and you're not just out for to capture money from them. You're out to solve a problem and to meet a need that they've already expressed that they have. And so when I sat down and had that conversation with her, I thought, her and her mother, I thought, wow, this is what it's about. It's about serving with, compassion, with integrity, with authenticity. That is so important. And so now that I see I have about 6 minutes left, I want to take a pause because I've been talking nonstop and see if there are any questions before I go into the next session to wind up. And I want to do a reminder for those of you who may be joining late or joining, I won't say late, maybe just popping in today and you want to see what this is all about. Take a look at yesterday. Yesterday, I laid the foundation, and today we're building on that foundation. And so there is a playbook that is available for those of you who want to see more extensive information about each day, because I share a lot more in the playbook than I do in this 30 minutes that I have with you. And then I have a VIP session. Yesterday I had a VIP session, and I look forward to today's session, which happens right after this session. If you're interested in the VIP, look inside the Facebook group. In the guides, there's a link that you can press so that you can get into the VIP. That's where I get to answer questions one-on-one with you personally, or one on many, if depends on how many people sign up, where we get to go a little deeper about these sales topics. And so tomorrow I'll be talking more about the actual conversation and the art of conversation, which is so important. What you say may not be what comes out of your mouth. Think about that. What you say may not be what comes out of your mouth. I have grandsons. I don't know about many of you, but children tend to have, and adults too, I won't just say children, but have a way of saying one thing and actually looking another way. I was just telling a friend of mine, uh, she knows who she is. It's like, how are you doing today? Are you okay? She says, yeah, I'm happy. I said, well, tell it to your face. So think about when you're addressing people, if you're presenting yourself the way you really feel inside. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you get an opportunity to listen to yesterday, it's worth the 30 minutes of listening. And there's a little link on the um, Facebook, not Facebook, on the Zoom or Facebook, where you can speed it up. Where the replay is the little wheel, you can speed it up and do a double time and listen to me in 15 minutes if you want to rush through it. And so during this masterclass, I did not announce that I'd be giving out prizes, but I think I will. So I'm going to give you a challenge. Whoever goes live inside the Facebook group, I have a sales gift for you that I think will help you grow your business. Okay. And it's really um, a contracted 30-day challenge that you can take and use. It's an unlisted YouTube link that you can take and use and play over and over and over again. And I'll also, with that, provide a template that I actually paid $5,000 for. Not just the template, but the training in sales. So I'll share those two things for whoever goes live inside the Facebook group and share your biggest takeaway. So I look forward to sharing this sales secret success. Remember, today, day 2 is connection. That is the secret, number 2. Yesterday's secret, again, was mindset. Mindset is the foundation in which you build your sales business. If you think it, it's possible, right? But if you have, what I've heard said is stinking thinking, if you have stinking thinking, then it's likely that your sales will be in the toilet. And we don't want that. We want your sales to be fresh and new and growing and scaling. And so I'm encouraged to be able to share this information with you. As I said, I've gone through this training actually 4 times in a different cycle. It was 4 cycles, 4 iterations of sales mastery planning, training. And now I have another one that's in a course form, that I'm going through as well. And so this sales training is paramount if you want to grow your business. So listen to what's being spoken. And if you join the VIP, I have another extra thing I just thought about. So if you join the VIP, I'll share the templates and the scripts that will help you grow your sales business. So if you do either of those, the playbook or the VIP, I'll be able to share a lot more with you and go live. Go live. I will have some homework that I'll upload in the Facebook group, which comes from the playbook. So the homework, just ask a couple of questions and you can use those questions to answer and go live. If you haven't gone live before, it's the little button that looks like a wheel and it's inside this Facebook group. So it's not going all over Facebook. It's just inside this Facebook group and it's your video. So it's not like I can pull that video and put it somewhere else. I need your permission. So do me a favor. If you've received value from what I've shared to you, which has been, if I must say, it's been compact because it's only 30 minutes. So I wanted to make sure I condensed as much information as I could. Then do me a favor, go live, purchase the playbook, select VIP. And I will see you either in VIP or I will see you tomorrow at 3:30. All right. Thank you. All right, Nadia, how do you stop this?